So the illustrative indices and actions for this section, priority area 3, helping firms and people manage residual risks and natural disaster, are as follows, keeping in mind again that 2020 is considered the baseline here, with short-term target being 2025 and medium-term target at 2030. Fantastic timelines in terms of being realistic about the information we have on climate projections, as well as monitoring and evaluating progress, and not investing in 2100 and not having any way to know how effective it will be by then. So action 3.1, save lives and money with hydromet early warning and emergency management systems. This is especially important to be implemented in poor countries which don't have good observational networks, meteorological services, and maybe even emergency management systems. Okay, here daily weather forecasts produced by the Hydromet Agency and easy to communicate alert systems in place. This may not be possible for a country like let's say Nepal or Bangladesh, and they may get it from India, so such arrangements are also in place and possible. Communication channels to efficiently communicate early warnings to the population and emergency services are in place. So the last mile effort in terms of taking early warnings and actually taking action on the ground is very critical in terms of communication channel continuity. Average error in early warning both missed events and false alarms, so that people are aware of this happens naturally to some extent after people watch the early warnings repeatedly for a while. In Mumbai, heavy rain events are generally shifted by a day, and parents know this by looking at them each season, each year, monsoon season each year, because they are made to take care of children. Schools close, but then the rain comes in at the wrong time, and they are not prepared. Neither the school is prepared nor the students are prepared. Buses can get stuck, school buses, trains can get shut down, and so on. So average error in early warnings must be very well understood. Share of population with access to early warning systems has to be monitored and increased progressively. Share of population covered by evacuation plans, especially the most vulnerable and poor. Capacity of shelters has to be well documented so that you are prepared for shocks. Average distance to closest shelter has to be known and made known to people as well, so that they can respond to early warnings and take action. Capacity of emergency services, for example, number of emergency medical service units, trained health emergency professionals, and so on. Duration, the communities can operate safely and independently if they are isolated in terms of water, food shortage, medicine, and so on. So if they are not if they're cut off, or the hospital is cut off from them, and so on, these are things that need to be documented. Number of disaster drills performed, this is very critical as well. Provide all firms and households with risk management instruments in action 3.2. Overall strategy to manage residual risks and disasters prepared and approved. Coordination mechanism in place between the various preparedness actors, for example, Ministry of Interior for crisis management, social protection, Ministry of Agriculture for food security and agriculture food security and agriculture, and Ministry of Finance. Fraction of population covered by at least one financial instrument to cope with the shocks, for example, insurance, social protection, or access to emergency borrowing. We discussed these in some details, but we are revisiting them here. Action 3.3, develop the insurance sector and building on public-private partnerships. Share of population with disaster insurance is to be tracked. Share of population with access to emergency loans from financial institution should be known. Share of population receiving remittances, especially those with bank accounts. Share of population with financial savings in a bank account, so that the government has to facilitate to increase these numbers. Action 3.4, building a social protection system that's responsive to shocks. Share of population covered with social protection, stress test of existing systems completed, including delivery mechanisms. Give me a second, I have an interruption. Sorry about that. So let me wrap this up here. We are looking at share of population with financial savings. So the next action, build a social protection system that is responsive to shocks. Share of population covered with social protection, share of stress tests of existing systems completed, including delivery mechanisms, contingent plan to scale up social protection systems developed and approved, share of population in social registry, including potential beneficiaries in case of scale up, delivery mechanism in place, for example, bank account for each household in the registry. Okay. Action 3.5, help firms develop business continuity plans and financial preparedness. Fraction of firms with BCPs should be known. Number of area-based BCPs should also be tracked. Fraction of firms with disaster insurance coverage should be nailed down. Finally, action 3.6 in this priority area 3, be prepared to build back better after disasters with contingency plans and financing. We discussed this already a bit, but just to touch on the illustrative indices and action plans. Sorry, I got interrupted and forgot the pointer. Resilient recovery and reconstruction plans with revised land use and standards are ready for implementation. Pre-approved contracts for emergency interventions, for example, debris removal, or reconstruction, for example, road repair, approved with enhanced standards. So building back better is very critical, because an event can serve as an opportunity to improve things for the future if all the plans are in place. Okay, so I'll close this here and then we'll come back to priority area 4 in the next section.